welcome, ma'am. Takoda. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but Jamie Sams has a couple of books, but one of them are the Sacred Path cards. And I get a lot of life lessons from them. They're Native American lessons. And she was kind of brilliant in bringing it to the public by making it kind of like a game, a card game where you can do readings with them and then they inform you. But I really just love to read the card's message and what the message is saying. And good boy. So the name of my talk today is Mirror, Mirror. Now we know that by mirror, mirror, where I stand, here I stand, who's the fairest in the land, or mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all. And the Native Americans have the Great Smoking Mirror, which is basically the reflection that you see, and also the illuminating through the smoke to see the true self. So I'm going to talk about that today, and that's what the lesson really means. And of course, I chose Takoda because part of the lesson of the Great Smoking Mirror, it comes from the Mayans. And the Mayans believe that through the smoke, I see looking back another reflection of me. Mirror of my inner self, who are you, if I am me? So we're always asking, who is that person in there? Mirror of my outer self, what do others see? Is it the truth in my heart or human vanity? So what do you see when you look in the mirror, basically? But the Mayan teaching is, I am another one of yourself. And the lesson is to remind you that whatever reflection that you see is a connection to every other reflection that you see. So you're seeing yourself look back at you, but is it your true self that you're seeing when you look? And when you look at the face of another person, are you seeing yourself in them? Or are you seeing somebody separate from you to judge the outer self? And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And the reason I chose Takoda is because you cannot look at him and have him look at you and not really see yourself back. It's pretty impossible. And yet, because he is what he is, people see a big head, large teeth, a scary monster sometimes, and of course, look. Look! His back went out. He was limping this weekend, so we were very, very, because you never know. And he was having a hard time, really crotchety in the back. So we took him to our chiropractor. His name is Dennis Betancourt, and he adjusts Takoda with us. He used to come and adjust Shadow when she was sick, and he knows how to do it. So we all needed the chiropractor, so we took a trip to the chiropractor's office. And of course, he's got a receptionist. Her name is Letty, and she ran and hid in the closet. It was just the idea, to see and hear, and but others are like, "Ooh, who's that?" And then they're right in his face. So it's such a different thing of what you see in the outer rather than what is in the inner. Because he's the most gentle giant on the planet. And yet other people see a big head, a scary monster, the scary wolf. And then of course everybody wants pictures, it's like they had a reflection, see the reflection. And then I went to get my hair done. Our hairdresser, her name is Pamela, and she's always been scared of them. She's like, she sees the head and that's it for her. There's no way to get past that for her. And she did very nicely because it's towards the end, Paul was able to bring him in, and she was kind of like around me. She was blow drying my hair sometimes. She's like, "Oh, okay, I've got Colette as buffer. I've got Colette's protection." And it fascinates me because look, the reality rather than the perception. The reality rather than the history of what you think you know or something that's happened to you. The reality that you're looking at rather than what you fear. And so we're going to talk about that today. Every life form reflects every other life form. And that all originate from the same original source. So I talk about it every week that you guys come, that we are all one in this, that everything is connected. And yet there's a disconnect that happens to us because we get crushed by things along the way. So I want to talk about seeing the truth, always seeing the truth today. So find where you are. Let's just do our opening song, but for those of you who don't know it, but just sit in your chair and let go. The chair is holding you. You don't have to hold on to yourself. Hold on to ourselves only to get where we need to go. To hang on to our lives, our very lives. When the chair has you. Intelligence, the creator of all things living, seen and unseen.
Hold on. I don't know how to
Get it out.
What was that, Tommy? Yeah. I downloaded his CD, and I'm still I don't know how to work it. I've been shown it a million times. It's iTunes. I don't know. Anyway, I'll figure it out one day. But here's what I know. That music, that harmonica, that voice, that song that reminds us that we are all connected. That we are not divided. That I read this week that John Lennon said, I am an artist. We artists, we don't speak about our own feelings. We speak about all of our feelings. That's our job. And so any great musician, reminds us who we are. Any great artist reminds us that we are all in it together. And so the oneness, this intelligent creator, this thing that is in us, around and through us, that tells us, that scientifically proves to us that we are perfect, whole, and complete just the way we are. Because we are made of such stuff, of the magnificence of creation. And there is nothing else that you can possibly be. So I claim for each and every person in this room that you came here today and you are going to hear something that will remind you of your uniqueness and your beauty and your perfection and your reason, your divine purpose for being. That is what I know for you. I know it for myself, and I say thank you in advance for all the good that has come my way, the good that is here today, and the good that I've had in the past that brings me to this moment. So I release it knowing that it's done, that the laws of the universe, all of the laws, and the law of love especially, has you and holds you in the hands of grace despite appearances to the contrary. We are all one. And so it is. So namaste. Amen. Aho. Whatever it is that finishes it for you and solidifies it for you. That's what I know. There's nothing worse for the lying soul than the mirror of reality. So I always love it, and I love doing the Native American teachings and having my focus and my talk being on that, especially when Dan Running Bear can be here to play for us and sing for us. And in the music that he plays, I always feel the earth beneath my feet. It can't help but do so. So Dan is going to come up. He's my Lakota. He has a Lakota background, and he's my teacher in this way. And he's going to sing for us along with Deborah Delahunty. So you guys come and enjoy. You guys. Deborah, I'm going to come back and play.
How's everybody? Is everybody all right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So remember, we can't have one without the other. There's no death without life, And we can honor that. We can honor that we've lived, that we've hopefully have gotten the most out of our life. And remember, every breath is sacred, that we live this life breath to breath. When somebody close to me passes, or when I hear about somebody going home, it reminds me that, it helps me prepare for it. Because it starts reminding me that every breath is sacred. That we live breath to breath, that there's no guarantees. And when you understand that, truly understand that, not here, but here, then you enjoy it. You can start seeing the beauty in your life. Because it beats the alternative. Whatever you're going through in your life, it can't be so difficult that you would rather have death. Some people get there when life really gets the best of them, but it's one of the saddest times to me. It doesn't have to be like that. So we learn to see the life through the eyes of a child again. And how you do that is by understanding that every breath is sacred, by living breath to breath, no past, no future. All we have is this moment. This is the most beautiful thing that happens in your life right now. Because it's happening. It is what it is. It is. The song I sing for Colette because she likes it, but it's also a Four Directions song. It also talks about being in the center of the universe, and it talks about when we put our voice out there to the four directions, really the 7 directions, up, down, and back up. We're putting good thoughts out to all living things, to those directions. Thanking Creator, thanking Grandmother Earth. It's a thank you song, really. But it's honoring the 4 directions and understanding that we're in the center of that right now. That we're in the center of the universe. So when I sing this song, I like to include everybody. Anybody who would like to join us is welcome to join us. And what we do is we'll stand and we'll face the west. And I'll sing to the west. Wiopiatake is the west, and then to the north, which is Waziatakia, and then to the east, which is Wahampatakia, and then to the south, where we all go home one day, is Itokatakia. You know, we believe everything goes full circle, even life. So like I said, it comes from spirit world into the material world, back into a spirit world. So that brother's gone full circle. He's home, you know. There's nothing to be wrong with that. It's like I said, it's just the ones who are left behind. You know, the humanness in us has to suffer, and has to try to find the good in that. You know? So let's all stand. Whoever wants to play, can stand. And all you do is, as I do the directions, I'll tell you when to turn, and we'll just turn and face that direction, and then I'll do the rest. And if anybody knows the song, they're welcome to sing, or it's pretty, you know, you might get the hang of it, and you're welcome to try to join in if you want. So here we go. Thank you, everybody.
And the beating of the drum was actually the beating of the heart. And they knew, or they believed, that the beating of the drum, that all of their relations could hear them, no matter where they were. And it connected all of us together, and that was the purpose of it. I'm going to just move it. You know, there's an exercise in acting. It's called the mirror exercise. And Some people make fun of it because it looks a little bit mimey, you know what I mean? That people stand in front of each other, and it's a connecting exercise to see if you're connected to the other person. And most people just start to freak out that they're looking at each other in their eyes, and so they start to try and mess you up. You know, it's a game of who's going to mess up first. But when done properly, the only way to know the next move of the other person is to be with them. Here. It's not about movement here. It's about knowing and being connected to each other. And so when you feel each other start to move, then you can move with that person. And when the purpose of the exercise is being met, which is the connecting to each other on such a level that you're moving at the same rhythm. Someone's always leading, and then someone passes that on. And then you take turns, and it's this beautiful experience. And it's funny because it's called the mirror exercise, and I used to teach it. So when it's done properly, it's this magical experience because there is those moments. It takes a while to go from leader to follower to when you don't even know who's following and leading anymore. Because it's in such sync with each other. Two human beings moving with each other in tandem through intention. Just because they intend so. So it's this wonderful thing that, you know, we have this capacity. John Joseph Powell says, it is an absolute human certainty that no one can know his own beauty or perceive a sense of his own worth until it has been reflected back to him in the mirror of another loving, caring human being. And I was reminded of this because this beautiful woman who comes and gives us massages, her name is Heather. And she said that she does a lot of healing work, and she did a regression just back to her birth. And she could see her parents, you know, with anticipation, this loving anticipation that she was going to get here. But she was born jaundiced. And to save her life, they took her from her mother and stuck her in an isolated thing and then sat her under a light. And all she remembers thinking and feeling, and because we're sentient beings still, we have this idea that just because someone can't talk, they don't know what's happening. Because we're coming from our own point of view rather than the point of view of seeing with compassion another person or another sentient being and what they might be experiencing. And so in her mind, she goes, I came here with all these gifts and they don't want them? That's what she was conscious of, even though it was a loving thing to try and save her life. There's a way to do that if we know that that child can feel, can think, has a mind, has intelligence, that can figure something out. You know, so bring the mother with. You know, there's a way to keep that child from actually having that moment that changed her consciousness. And I believe through knowing her and what she shared with me, that most of her healing is about that moment that I came here with all these gifts and they don't want them. Trying to prove herself to herself and everyone around her that she was worth it. For an innocent act of intention. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be a devastating, crushing, do you know what I mean, event that was done to you on purpose in order to affect us, because we believe and we see children as somebody who might not, they're not going to remember it anyway. Who said? Who said? You know, we have to have compassion for each other. This is a word that in this teaching has kind of got lost because of the cause and effect, and you know what I mean? Basically, you know, you create your own reality. So if you're suffering out there, you know what I mean? You can't tell somebody who is suffering or who is hurting or something happens in their lives that is breaking their hearts. You can't tell them. Well, you know, somewhere you've been thinking it, and so you've created your own reality. You know? it may be true that we create our own reality, but we're creating in a reality that is misguided and divided sometimes. And we're in the middle of all of that. So what it does is it doesn't make you personally responsible for everything that goes on in your world. It just makes you part of what's going on in the world, and then you have a responsibility to remember who you are all, no matter what's happening out there. You know, Paul, had he not had compassion in him, this place would not exist. The way that this place came about was because Paul was dyslexic, so severely so that he could not perform in school. And at that time they called it retarded. And so that was his vision, his mirror image of who he was. And so he skipped school. Well, duh. So he would go hang out in the hills of Glendale with the wild animals, and he dreamed of this place, out of his compassion, so that people could feel the way he felt being seen in the wilderness, to be seen by nature. He wanted to share his experience with other people, and that's why we're here this month. You know, so something in that what the lesson of the smoking mirror is that there are shadows in that mirror. There are shadow selves. You know, had Paul not been considered retarded and been sent out there, this would not be our experience because of what he experienced and brought good into the world because of it. Did he suffer a lot because of that? And the mirror reflection that he's had in himself, that he's had to try and heal his whole life. You know, Nature's Path Healing Center. That's what this is called. At a ranch called Freedom.
Wow.
You know, that's what we're doing here. And it started with him. I'm participating. You know, we found each other on purpose, but by accident. Just like our beloved friend that just passed saw something in Deborah, and she found us, and she introduced us to Dan, and then we are all connected in that way. You know, when we treat another person in a callous manner, we are not hurting them, we are hurting ourselves. We are hurting our ability to see a true reflection every time we look in the mirror. Because if I am me and you are me too, yes, but in your body and in your uniqueness and in your passion and in your divine purpose, if I hurt you or I even hurt myself, the self-inflicted, I'm hurting the world. We are hurting the universe. We are hurting each other. You know, it's interesting that this lesson comes from the Mayan culture. And the Mayans actually imploded because the priests who held this high regard decided that they were more godly than the other people. And then they started doing human sacrifices, thinking that's what the god, the sky god would want, or the great creator, that's what they wanted from them. And basically they blew up their entire civilization, this incredible, intelligent, magnificent world. One day the people rose up because they couldn't take it anymore, and they wiped them all out and just went their separate ways. And that's what happened to the Mayans. When we see ourselves as higher or better, or we're really looking through our shadow selves, it's coming from a sense of fear that nobody can take from me. Do you know what I mean? I can't be afraid that you're going to take something from me and share with you and know who I am. And civilizations, the Romans, from civilization to civilization, the people will rise up and they will get rid of it. You cannot set up a circumstance where people starve and then expect them not to steal when they have to eat, and then punish them for eating, basically. and then not expect that you're not going to rise up in this fear and hatred. You took from me, so I'm now going to take from you. Les Miserables is not just a musical. It's based on the devastation of that population who rose up and chopped people's heads off. If you were even related to somebody who treated you badly before. It was a story inside the French Revolution. What I could gather from this message of the smoking mirror is that sometimes the light has to illuminate through the smoke so it's in order for you to see your true self. And that there are things in yourself that you cannot deny, like that quote about lying to you can't lie to yourself in front of a mirror. You can try, but you're not seeing a true reflection. Like the anorexic who sees a fat person. But yet they're skin and bone. I mean, they've been seeing or wanting to, what their reflection is this outer-inner conflict rather than seeing the oneness in themselves, the trueness in their own nature. You know, I had an eating disorder for a long time. And I got through it, and I needed a lot of therapy for it, but I could not look in the mirror and see my whole body. And one of my exercises, like weeks into it, was that I was supposed to stand naked in front of a mirror until I could see myself, for real. It was really difficult, because I couldn't look in the mirror and not see a big fat cow, you know? So I'm standing there naked doing it in the mirror because I was tired of being miserable. And I really had this in me to learn who I was. And I had a desire in me to see my true reflection. And I stood there in front of this mirror as naked as can be, and, you know, down on my knees I fell. And many times I had to hide my face in the ground and then look back up again. I remember this one time that I got it. It took a half an hour. Misery, believe me, looking at my outer shell and seeing something awful. To then finally seeing and having compassion for my own self in the mirror. So something broke through so that I didn't see myself as an outward physical thing. I actually did the mirror exercise of the acting with myself. And I could finally see a whole person with a pretty good heart. So if you're looking in the mirror and you don't like what you see, and that there's something that you're lying to yourself for, there's these shadow parts of yourself, which is in this teaching, is that you have to confront them and name them and call them what they are. And find the bottom line. That's what we called it in acting. Like, what's the bottom line? What's going on with this person? Why are they behaving like that? What's the motivation there? What's the bottom line? Instead of hating the person who is doing the wrong thing, the sinful thing, the devastating thing, the savage thing, try and see past that to what is the bottom line. Where did it come from? Did it come from being starved? Did it come from being abandoned? Did it come from some place? It comes from some place that I can identify with, and that there's where the healing can start between the masses and then between each other, is to look in the mirror and not see something hateful, not see something fearful, but to look at it and go, we can heal this. What needs to be seen that is buried so deep that we don't even know it's there anymore? That is causing the upset and the disconnect. Because believe me, we're not able to connect it back out there unless we can't connect it here. And it's quite an enormous the bottom line. What's underneath all there? That's why I like these songs. I like this participation. I know we're running a little late, but man, that sound goes all the way to my tailbone and goes, oh wow. Oh wow. And the mirror reflection of the medicine wheel that the natives live by and that they basically handed down to us is that it is the representation of birth, youth, adulthood, motherhood, parenthood, old age, and then out. So it's before and then cycle of life. And then no matter where you are standing in it, you are connected to everything else in the universe. Up, below, and here. 7 directions. And you're in that direction. You're in that universe. When you're praying, with that in mind, you are praying for each and every other person and thing and being and creation on the planet. And you can't get more powerful than that. And it also consciously brings us together as one. When we think we're separate and above or isolated and abandoned. God bless. God bless. I have some more, but I'm gonna leave. But you guys know who Burt Bacharach is?
Oh, yeah.
With the world leaves now, love, sweet love. It's the only thing that is just too little love. Anyway, he says this. I have notes in my bathroom, yellow notes, and I stick them on the mirror. Things that happened that were uplifting, boosting for me. Notes that say today is special, make today count. And then there's in the middle of the mirror, I have a note that says, look at the other notes. This man who wrote the sappiest, most loving love songs, on the planet. I think in the mirror he couldn't see. He was seeing something that was different than what he was in his heart. With a note that said, remind him to look at the other notes while he's looking at himself. And so I'm going to leave you with Burt Bacharach. On that level. But Jamie Sams, I do have to finish the lesson that she did, is that you are what you decide you are. Remove the smokescreen that hides your natural talents and your worth. And stand tall. Recognize the areas to be developed further and begin that process. Stop cowering before your potential and live your truth. You are being asked to be a good reflection for others. Encourage others to be bold through walking your talk. The reflections you see in others may not be or make you happy if you are doubting yourself and your right to be. If you're looking at somebody else and judging them, there's something you're upset about in you. And believe me, they're not going to see you change their behavior unless you're walking the walk. And that's up to us. So, we've already had that song, but I'm going to, let's do our Face of God and close out, and then hopefully Deborah, who will bring us another song for us to sing. Oh. There it is. You are the face of God. I You are the face of God. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. Yeah. Just a few things. The music that you hear when you come in, that flute music, that's Deborah.
Yay.
She went out of pocket to make those CDs for us. And she wrote each and every one of those songs for our pack. And to help us raise money. And so if you were fed and spiritually fed today, that is a love offering that you can make and to honor her, what our beloved friend brought to her and brought us all together, then we would really be appreciative. Also, if you have a love offering for us, you know, we're building and building and building and we're growing, and it helps us and it helps feed the wolves, and so we're really in our hearts say thank you. If you would like to release your burdens today, for those who haven't been here before, the burden basket is over there. You can take a little piece of paper, write out your burdens, take some tobacco, and Paul has moved the medicine wheel over by the teepee, so you can actually say your prayers in the medicine wheel and release them to the elements and let them go. Do not carry your burdens any more or longer than you have to. At all times, that's for sure. Anyway, I want to thank Dan for the lovely lesson. And my husband, of course, and Takoda for being such a shining light in the world. I have the privilege of standing here and seeing my reflection in you.
Oh.
And it is an honor every week to see myself that way. And hopefully that you see that in you when I'm looking at you. So, I love you all. Thank you very much for joining us. If you'd like to pray, you're welcome.
Play us out. I never got to do it.
Oh.